if we have the formula that's on your sheet of A equals P, 1 plus or minus R to the T, okay, the guy right before the parentheses is the beginning balance. So that means if I have y equals x, 1 plus or minus r to the t, that's your beginning balance, the guy in front of it. It doesn't matter what the letter is that they use. I do have some worksheets where they use different letters, okay? It's position. The guy all by itself on the other side of the equation is the ending balance. And this is the rate, the growth or decay rate. What does decay mean? Yeah, it gets smaller. Something decays. If something's rotting, when they do carbon dating, they're seeing what percentage of carbon is left in the bone that they found, and they can tell how long ago that bone was alive because they know what's left. And they know that the half-life of carbon is, let's say, 24,000 years, okay? So if you have a cup of carbon in your bone right now, in 24,000 years after you die, you'll have a half a cup. And 24,000 more goes by, then you'll have a quarter of a cup left. So they can measure it and see what percentage of the total amount that you should have is left. You understand that? All right, so growth or decay rate. And T is what? Time. Usually in years, but it could be months or days if it's something that's happening really quickly, okay? When bacteria is growing, when they stick that Q-tip up your nose and they try to see if you have COVID, that bacteria is growing pretty fast in a petri dish. They're probably dealing with days or hours, okay? How many different bacteria have grown over that time. That's why it takes a couple days sometimes to get your result. It's not always the incompetence of the lab, but they have to see what grows over time. So they have to give it a couple days, okay? So this is my favorite formula, the one right here. This is my favorite formula. We're going to define the uses. I use this in my own personal life. the amount that I paid for a house that I used to have was $245,000. Okay? I had the house for 15 years. And I sold it for $422,000. The thing I don't have is the rate, how much it increased every year, okay? So I put everything where it goes in the formula. The formula is A equals P, 1 plus R to the T. And I have the A is 422, and the P is 245,000, and then 1 plus R to the 15. So I have to leave this R alone. So the first thing we do is get rid of the 245,000 by dividing both sides by 245,000. Now how do I get rid of the 15? What that is telling you is that when you buy that car for $45,000, every year it's going to depreciate 8.33%. So it's going down. A car is not an investment unless you're buying antique cars or whatever. It's not an investment. That's why I don't recommend spending a lot of money on cars, because you're not getting anything back from it except, I don't know, maybe somebody saying, whoa, that's a nice car. But you don't get anything. Okay, you lose money when you buy a car.
That's what my stepdad told me last night.
It's all right, guys. So we have that. So the rate of depreciation is 0.0833. You understand? You have to turn it into a decimal by moving the decimal place 2 places. And the original value, the principal value, was 45,000. And the time, how long do you want to keep this car?
6 years.
6 years. So let's put all this information in and see what our car is going to be worth. It's going to be 45,000. 1 minus 0.0833. And it's minus because it is depreciating, okay? So put that in your calculator. So when you have a car for 6 years, this particular car at this depreciation rate, and every car depreciates at different rates, okay? It's going to only be worth $26,000 after 6 years. It's over 5 years, it depreciates 30%. So the first value is 100. It went down 30%. That's why I use 100. It's just easy because you're basing it on 100. And now this is going to be 1 minus R because we know it's going away to the 5th because in 5 years, right? So the first thing we do is we divide by 100. And that's 0.7 equals 1 minus R to the 5th. How do I get rid of that 5? What?
You go to root 5.
Fifth root. What's the fifth root of 0.7? Everybody key it in. Don't let somebody else do it for you. It's this number right here.
7 is 0.8705505633.
No, that's not what I got. And then we subtract 1 from it.
0.931.
It's 6% a year. 0.0688% a year. 30 divided by 5 is 6. So why isn't it just 6%? Because after the first year, you no longer have the whole $100 value. It's lost value. It's now $90 some. So it has to be a bigger amount to get you to your 30 over 5 years. You understand? Let's say in a given year you are given $1,000 in gifts. And it's in $50 here and $25 there, and an uncle sent you $100 and whatever. It adds up to $1,000. You kept getting the money all year round, and on Christmas you said, wow, I've been putting all this money in my little jar in my room, and I've got $1,000. So I want to invest this $1,000, and I don't want to ever touch it. Okay? I'm going to invest it in the stock market. What is the average rate of return of the stock market over time? Somebody look it up. So at an average of 10% a year, right? Now, this year, your money could grow 15%, it could grow 1%. Next year, it could grow 22%, or it could lose money. But over time, it increases by 10% a year. That means you have to keep it for longer than a year, unless you're one of those people who keeps buying and selling and buying and selling and buying and selling,
Good one for,
which is okay, but it's a lot of work. So let's say you're going to keep this, and you're not going to need it until you retire. So if you're 18 now and you retire at 68, you're going to have it for 50 years in an investment account.
So you just invested $1,000 in the stocks and kept it in there for
50 years, and it goes up an average of 10. Now you diversify. You don't buy just one stock, the way we're hearing about him, because you want to have a little bit of different things. That's how you get your 10%. Now you can go into other things, just have one thing, and on a good year make 30%, and on a bad year lose your shirt, okay? So that's up to you. So we're going to diversify. We're going to buy some energy companies and maybe Coca-Cola and, just a bunch of different things, okay?
AT&T.
So we start with $1,000. We do 1.10, because 1 plus 10% is 1.10, and we're keeping it for 50 years. How much is your money going to be worth? Your money will be worth $117,390.85.
what? That's if